Hi there, my name is Alice, and today we are going to discuss how we can apply behaviour modification principles to the nervous habit of nail biting. So, first, we are going to get into what is nail biting. So, nail biting occurs when our fingers move towards our mouths and we start nibbling around the edges of our nails. What can sometimes happen is we can be sitting bored and not even realize that we're chewing around our nail. This happens to most people at one point in their life. Whether or not it becomes a problem, a habit, really depends on the duration and frequency of the nail biting itself. So, why would someone bite their nails? Perhaps they have uneven edges of their nails and they nibble around it to try and get it even. However, if you've ever bitten your nails before, you might find, or clipped your nails, you might find that it never gets even. So you keep chewing and you keep nibbling. This can have bad consequences. Sometimes it can lead to infection, which is terrible for health. And it can also lead to shame and embarrassment, which can be really bad for our self-esteem. So there are many consequences. By this stage, you may be thinking, oh, I think I might have a problem with nail biting, but what do I do about it? Well, the good news is that we have behaviour modification techniques that we can use for habits such as nail biting. So today we're going to discuss habit reversal therapy, and we're going to use these techniques and apply them to overcome this habit. So there are 4 procedures that we're going to use. The first one is awareness training, and then we are going to look into creating a competing response for our nail biting behaviour. And then we're going to look into what social support can we gather to help us with this endeavour. And then finally, we're going to look into what strategies we could use to motivate us. And we're all unique individuals, so we're going to have different ones that will apply to us. The first step is awareness training. So during awareness training, we are going to be identifying when is it that the behaviour occurs, what happens just before it, and what happens after it. So what are the reinforcing consequences? Perhaps just before it, we might identify that we feel a little bit anxious. And perhaps afterwards, we feel that this has soothed us somehow. There could be many different reasons for why we start to engage and for why it's reinforced at the end and why we go back to do it again. And in order to work this out, we need to do awareness training. I would recommend perhaps using a journal. We could write in it each night for about 10 minutes and try to explore how we're feeling before and after. This takes a lot of practice, a lot of self-management, and a lot of self-reflection. So it's important to be committing to this as often as we can, and then we should be able to work out what consequences and what triggers we are going to be trying to attack. Now that we've completed awareness training, we have some idea when and where this habit of nail biting tends to occur. We want to replace the habit with a competing response, and the competing response will diminish the nervous tension that we tend to feel. It will take its place and it will be incompatible with the habit behaviour. One behaviour that we could use is perhaps squeezing a stress ball. So now I've got my trusty yellow smiley face stress ball here. If I feel that my hand is moving towards my mouth to start chewing, I can then replace that habit with squeezing the stress ball. I can have this in my pocket and nearby so that I've got this ready. Another way we could create a competing response is by squeezing a pen or a pencil, whatever tool you study with, and just squeezing that. You could also clench your fist, or you could sit on your hands, and that's a really good one because quite often for nail biting, we subconsciously have our hand come up to our mouth, and before we even realize, we're chewing away. So those are some ways that we can create a competing response. And it's also helpful as a part of awareness training as well to start thinking and visualizing yourself in the situations where you feel you start to get a bit nervous, and that tends to be when you start biting your nails. Try to visualize yourself instead of biting your nails in that situation, in that feeling. Visualize yourself squeezing the stress ball. This will really help you for when you are trialing out the competing response and when you are trying to make it your new habit. Now it's time to discuss our social support systems. They can help us overcome our habit of nail biting. Perhaps we live with a roommate, and if we have a discussion with our roommate around the habit, around how it's affecting us, and perhaps they become on board with it, then we can ask them to prompt us to engage with the competing response behaviour every time they see us engaging in biting our nails. We could make this as subtle as them giving us a slight wave every time they see us biting our nails to prompt us to squeeze the stress ball. Now, it would need to be slightly different than a normal wave, but it's something that will make us not feel humiliated or embarrassed, but just clearly signals to us that we both know that, hey, I need to be doing this. What they could also do is provide positive reinforcement. Perhaps you're not biting your nails, you move straight to the competing response, and someone walks by, your roommate, and they see you doing that, and they say, hey, great job, like, good on you, you're really doing this, you're making this work. That makes us feel great. So that provides positive reinforcement in the form of praise. So it's great if we can try and engage our social supports to help us overcome this habit behavior, and we'll be able to see a lot of outcomes, great outcomes from this. Now it's time to think about some motivating strategies. You've come this far, and now we need something to help push us along a little bit, to give us that little bit of extra motivation along the way. We could perhaps look at Google images of some bad instances of nail biting, some infections, and if we view these images consistently, it can remind us of the bad consequences that can occur for our health, for our nails, if we do continue to engage in this behaviour. It can remind us of the shame and the embarrassment that we feel whenever we're caught engaging in the behaviour, or whenever people see our nails and they're all chewed down. We could also think about taking photos of our nails along the way. So if we're serious about getting rid of our behaviour of nail biting, we could take a photo once a week and see where we're at. See if we can try not to touch our nails, and this can encourage us along the way. I hope you have found this video helpful, and if you struggle with nail biting, I hope you get a chance to give it a go with the habit reversal procedures mentioned in this video. Please comment below if you found any of this helpful. Thank you.